Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to another episode of Falcons Trench Talk here on the Dirty Birds and Brews podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin, joined by my co-host. He is Jordan Watkins at Big 75. Fella, Jordan, an odd game, a weird game, a difficult game, but a dub that we have. So I'm happy about it. How are you feeling?
Just going back and looking at everything about this game, whether it's rewatching it, which I'm in mid first quarter right now, or the funny stats, interesting stats. I know you have some good ones ready to go. I can't help but laugh. I honestly, I can't help but laugh. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a division win that you needed. You're 2-0 in the division, which is huge. And your first place, and also just even in the whole playoff picture, with how the Lions looked last Sunday as well, you're looking in a solid spot right now. So overall it's good, but I'm still laughing about a couple things.
Yeah, all we can do is laugh, or we'll cry or break down with insanity, because that's what it was like watching the game at times yesterday. That led to a lot of spicy tweets from myself, certainly. But I mean, when you fumble the ball inside the 10 3 times, like I'm unleashing the fury. Okay, that's too much. Like 2 times, okay, I was still with you there, but the third time, no, that's when the tweets get fired off, especially when it's in that manner. But I know I know you were sort of the first one to get on this about probably not being Drew Dahlman's fault with the botch snap exchange on that second turnover. And it seems like Ridder agrees with you, because that's what he said. And even if he didn't agree with you, he did the right thing, taking responsibility there. But the first one, we both agree. That fumble probably not on Ridder. That's just the defense making a great play and the offensive line not making a good play as a result. The third one,
and a bad play sequence from the play caller, but
yeah. I hate empty on third down with this team. Like, it's just like this team used to be the team that on 3rd and 7 would every once in a while they would just run, and like it would work sometimes. It's like so I hate how that puts them in that situation. But I know you have your issues with it too. Hey, folks, just want to bring you a quick word from our sponsor, betonline.ag. Everyone, it's a Texas showdown in the MLB postseason, and BetOnline is your #1 source for all your baseball wagering info, with all the up-to-the-minute stats, news, scores, and matchup breakdowns that you need. You can also get the latest game odds, spreads, and totals for the NFL and college football at your fingertips with BetOnline's real-time updates on statistics, news, and odds. They've got everything you need to stay up to speed on each LCS all the way through to the World Series. And with football, they've got everything you need to get you through to the Super Bowl and the college football playoff. So what are you waiting for, folks? Head to that website today, betonline.ag, or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Just don't forget to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Well, I mean, it's a couple of things, because obviously it's no surprise in one-on-one blocking situations, some of the guys that you're hoping that we could rely on, and I get it, Caleb Gary hasn't always been the best pass blocker, but we've seen he really has had his fair share of struggles, and with certain types of rushers too this year. Speed rushers give him problems, right? Brian Burns, we knew about it week 1. Shaquille Barrett's one of those guys that is kind of like that too. Of course, it didn't help that Matthew Bergeron got beat as well. Yeah. But my whole issue with it was, you were under a minute left. You ran a fullback screen on 2nd down for, okay, do what you want to do, I guess. That doesn't work. So now my thing is, yeah, but if you don't cook, I need to see some seasoning put on that chicken. And
that was way too much mayonnaise on that one.
Yeah, too much mayonnaise, not enough seasoning. But my thing too was, okay, that didn't work. Settle for the field goal, right? Let's settle for a field goal. Run the ball on 3rd down. If you run it, Tampa doesn't call a timeout because they're thinking, hey, we don't have what it takes on offense to score. A few seconds left. Perfect. You win that drive. If they do call a timeout, hey, you trust your defense, which is pretty good, to make sure that Tampa doesn't get down the field and score. So the fact that they were still aggressive and greedy, trying to get a touchdown there, and then, like you said, you're an empty, it's an obvious pass situation, and the defense knows you're not throwing anything short of the goal line there. So pass rush has time to get home. They didn't need time because it was a clean win, but that's why I just didn't. I wasn't happy with that. I mean, I think that 14 points were taken off the board in this game from offensive miscues, and then at least 3 were taken off from coaching miscues.
Yeah. And it's tough to watch. It's very frustrating. And it's why, I pulled up this stat before the show just because I was trying to figure out, like, I tweeted a little bit about it too. Like, the Falcons over the last 3 games have put up over 400 yards in each game. Incredible stuff, considering before that they had put up like 180 and then like less than 300 in the preceding 2. So they've rebounded. I mean, this is exactly what you were hoping to see, which is like, okay, like if Desmond Ridder is going to keep this job, I think after week 4, I was like, he has 2 weeks to prove that he can move the ball, or this is going to get really ugly and he's probably going to get benched. And he has proven, like, he had his best game in week 5, and they've moved the ball. It just hasn't ended up in the end zone. Like, that's the problem. Like, they've moved it. So it's better than weeks 3 and 4 where they didn't move it and it was just hella ugly and just disastrous and painful and all those buzzwords that are just not very much fun to utter. So we'll stop there. But they are now 12th in yardage after being among the league's worst over the first 4 games. They're, I think, like 15 in net yards per attempt, which if you had told anyone after week 4 that the Falcons would just 3 weeks later be 15th in net yards per attempt, they would have told you were crazy. And that and net yards per attempt factors in sacks and stuff like that too. So it's a little bit more robust than just yards per attempt. But they're also, obviously great running the ball. They're 8th in rushing yardage. So, like, they're moving the ball. They haven't been the most efficient on the ground, but that's been getting a little bit better, especially this week. But, like, despite them being 12th in yardage, they are 29th in scoring. And before the show, I was like, oh, I wonder how bad that really is in context. So for context, there are no other teams in the top 16 that are under 21.5 points per game. The Falcons are at 12th, and they're at 16. But for reference, the 16th team in yardage, the Dallas Cowboys, has almost 26 points per game. And the teams around the Falcons are both in the low 20s. So, like, I think what that means is that this is probably an outlier statistically. Now, how much of an outlier we still don't know. But, like, just like I was saying with the sacks before the Commanders game, where, like, they only have 5 sacks, but they're top 3 in pressure, so we should expect them to get more sacks. What do you know? 8 sacks over the next 2 games. Maybe that's going to come around in terms of the scoring as well, Jordan. But it's just the turnovers. So
no, exactly. And I mean, just to give some context, right? Because this is how much it hurts and stings. So 29th means that you have 3 teams below you in terms of scoring offense. Here are some of the teams that are below the Falcons right now: Las Vegas, New England, and the Giants. Right. And all of those teams, I believe, are 1-2 win type of teams, at least right now. Right. Now, even some of the teams that are above you, think about Pittsburgh and their struggles, both offensive coordinator, quarterback, offensive line. I mean, you name it. The team you just saw, Tampa Bay, at 17.2. The team you're going to see coming up, Tennessee, and their number might go down, not even just because they're playing our defense. But Ryan Tannehill is going to be out for a while. So it's either going to be Levis, the guy from Kentucky, or Malik Willis. Carolina, with all their struggles, is ahead of you. The Jets are still in front of you. It's just like you look at some of the teams that are above you, and it's head scratching based off of what we do know about their offenses and what we know about ours. But like you said, it's the turnovers, and this is what makes it so hard about evaluating the Falcons right now, because it's easy to say, oh, if you just take out the turnovers, this is a good team. Yes, I don't disagree at all. They're a good team with the turnovers, right? Like that's what's so frustrating about it. That's what's so frustrating. Oh, but the other part of it is, if the turnovers keep popping up on tape, you have to account for that of what they are going to be going forward. Like, remember, there was a one game where Desmond did not have a fumble, didn't have an interception. It's like, okay, there we go. Here we go. Let's see more of this, right? And I think that was the Texans game. So the next 2 games after that, we have as on an offense, and again, like, I'm not placing blame right now. I'm just saying, as an offense, we have 6 turnovers, 3 turnovers in each game. So I'm not saying that I'm a football genius, because I know I'm not, but I'm willing to bet if you average 3 turnovers per game, your odds of winning are not very good. So, we got to find a way to clean those up. We just do. I wouldn't expect Desmond to fumble at the goal line anymore. I think that after the second time that it's been close, it's that ball security around there is going to be a little bit more important.
Yeah, he's going to hold it like a baby from now on, like 2 hands,
right,
just like, ah.
It's going to be like, who was it Dan Connolly? I think his name was. He was the offensive lineman for the Patriots. Remember that Sunday night game? He gets the ball in like the first 5 yards, just holding it like this. Like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Don't know what I'm doing. Oh, wait, I'm free. Let's take off. Here we go. Like, he's going to start holding it like this.
Yeah. Got to protect the ball. Yeah. So
exactly.
Yeah. So you just got to see it. Like that type of stuff. It's inexcusable. It's young player mistakes. It's really frustrating. But it's as frustrating. It's as frustrating as it is correctable. It's like, that's easy coaching. It's like Dez, like he's going to get his ass chewed. I guarantee it. I mean, people were mad at me for calling him an idiot on Twitter. And it's like, you think they're like, oh, that's disrespectful. What do you think Arthur Smith said to him on the sideline? If you just
mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys know, but there's harsh language exchanged between coaches and players on the sideline and in the meeting rooms. So they can handle it, guys. Okay. Like they're not little snowflakes.
I'll even take this sometimes, because I've definitely had my fair share. Actually, I'll give you this funny story. 2016? Yeah, 2016. We're in the Pac-12 championship, going up against 2015 season. We're in the Pac-12 championship against USC. This is the year, and I know we got a lot of Alabama fans and the Falcons, the Falcons fan base, but it was the year Christian McCaffrey should have won Heisman over Derrick Henry. And I'm in later in the game. We're blowing him out. So I'm lined up against Zach Banner, one of the tackles for USC. And I think was their quarterback I think it was Cody Kessler.
Mm-hmm.
So, get by Zach Banner. And I still to this day don't think it was late. I know a lot of other people don't think it's late. I hit him. I hit Cody Kessler, and boom, flag comes out. And I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. I did not just get roughing the passer on ESPN, national TV, all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, all right, well, it is what it is. Next play. As soon as I say that in my mind, here comes one of my teammates to take me out. It's like, Jordan. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm jogging off the field, right? So Coach Shaw, I see him walking on the sideline to where I'm like coming off the field, right? So I see that. I start veering this way. I'm not dealing with this right now. He starts walking faster. And I'm just like, okay, you know what?
It's coming. All right, I'm ready. Yep,
mm-hmm.
Yep.
And he got into me a good bit on the sideline for that. And funny enough, we had our team banquet the next day. And he actually came to our table. I was with my parents and some other players and their families. And he was just like, hey, he took his hand out. And at first I was like, what's going on? Okay. He's like, I just want to let you know I watched the play again. You were right. That's not roughing the passer. That was a bad call. And then I was like, hey, you know what? It's okay. It's all good. But in my mind, it's like, yeah, I knew it.
Yes,
I knew it.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah. So sometimes things get a little heated on the sideline.
They do.
Just to let people know.
It's tough love, like, and people that know us, like we're not trying to bury Ridder. Like we're trying to call it like it is. And that was one of the biggest mistakes he's made his entire NFL career, I would say, at least the most egregious mistake. But like I said, it's as egregious as it is fixable. That is not something that's difficult to fix, which is why it's so frustrating. But like it just, put it on the hand that's toward the sideline, and you don't let up until you're, pretend you're about to do the Lambeau leap, Ridder. I don't care. Like, you need to keep some speed so you can jump over that fence, okay?
Right.
Whatever you need to say to get your ass into the end zone. But I don't think we're going to have that problem again. I think we all know that Ridder is not an immature quarterback. That's just a uncharacteristic mistake. And you move on. And you got the dub. So, if you don't get the dub after that, then you're getting flamed on national television, probably by everyone. So very, very fortunate that Ridder came out and redeemed himself and won the team the game. So props there. But we should give the offensive line some props, though. This is Trench Talks. We should give those guys some props because we had said it coming into this game. This is going to be a tough test for this offensive line. The Bucs pass rush is good. Vita Vea is awesome. Mm-hmm. They have a really good run defense. The Falcons' rushing attack has been struggling, and they get it done. It's not the most efficient day on the ground, but they put up over 150 yards rushing. They mostly keep the pocket clean. I think Chris Lindstrom, once again, showing that his struggles early in the year were just a blip. And like you said, Drew Dahlman, I think, is ends up with the third highest grade on the team according to PFF. So let's give these guys some flowers because they outside of that one play, Caleb McGarry on the other end of the spectrum in this one, I think he was the lowest graded offensive player, but for the most part, I think they had a big bounce back this week and were instrumental in getting this done.
It was a statement game, in my opinion, in terms of, like you mentioned, the whole concept of what had been going on the last few weeks and of not being able to run the ball. And again, it's not a team that's easy to run the ball against. It's part of the reason why people don't even try to do it. And the Falcons said, I don't care. We're running the football. Now, of course, you did have some of those 1 yard gains, 2 yard gains, but you also had a lot of big gains. It wasn't like sometimes if you see a game on the ground, and something there was like, oh, well, if you take this one run away, they actually had this. It's like, no, we had a couple of those runs. So It was consistent. And so that's what I love so much about it. Again, anyone who knows me, and this is from, watching him or playing against him, so to speak, it was never I was on the field with them, but playing against him when he was at Washington, I'm a big Vita Vea fan. To be that big and that mobile. Speaking of, you should see his high school highlights because he was a running back.
Yeah. It's amazing tape.
You believe that or not? It is actually amazing. It really is amazing. So the way he moves for as big as he is incredible. But I thought the Falcons did a relatively good job with him. I know he's been injured lately. I don't know how much that injury was affecting him. But at the end of the day, when you go with an odd front, which is what Tampa likes to do a good bit, he's more so like a true nose. You're going to get some of those double chips, right? Trying to get to that next level. And I thought the Falcons, especially if you look at that first drive, look at some of the push that they got on Vita Vea. That doesn't happen very often. I don't care if you're double teaming or single teaming him. That does not happen often. So you got to give it credit. And, if you want to, if you're one of the people that likes to take PFF for the be all end all, you got to give a lot of that credit to currently the highest graded run blocking center in the NFL right now.
Your boy.
Yeah. Interesting. No, I just say that because again, I get it. There have been some issues, especially the first year or two with Drew. I get it. Not trying to say he's perfect, and I've always said I want to see what he does when there's more size against him, like this game. And he had a good game. I know people were ready to get on him for that fumble. I still don't think that was on him. I know if you ask a quarterback's going to say, yes, it was on him. If you ask an offensive lineman, the offensive lineman's going to say, no, it's not on him. That's just kind of how that goes.
Yeah.
But I will say that I thought overall, and yes, there were some low snaps later in the game. Got to still work on cleaning that up. I'm not trying to go over that. But in terms of the actual blocking game itself, I thought he had a really good game.
Yeah, and I think Jake Matthews had a big bounce back this week. He had a tough time last week against the Commanders. This week I thought played really well. And yeah, I mean Bergeron again, he's just been sort of average this year, but being an average starter as a rookie is absolutely fine. Like that is
absolutely.
Not the worst thing in the world. And it's really not a problem, honestly, as long he's not someone that's been hurting the offense. So I do appreciate his contributions, even though, between him and McGarry, that first fumble was definitely on those guys. But,
right.
Hey, he's playing a new position. And I don't think he's been a negative for this offensive line. So that you take that and he's going to continue to grow and get better there. Outside of go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say at the end of the day, like I said, new position, but also he's in the NFL in year one.
Yeah.
Usually for linemen, it doesn't all click. Like I know there's some special outliers out there, but they're outliers for a reason. Usually for linemen, it doesn't click until year 2, year 3 of when you're really that dude. And so, like, I mean, perfect example. One of the best left tackles in the game right now is Andrew Thomas. You know, he's from the Atlanta area, Pace Academy for the Giants. A lot of people were getting on him early of like, man, he's not it, but now he's one of the best tackles. Penei Sewell, who I was very high on drafting in Atlanta, right? Again, right away in Detroit, was he one of the best? No, but look at him now, right? It takes time.
It does.
It takes time for some of these things to develop, especially up front.
It does. And yeah, like Andrew Thomas is a perfect example because people thought he was a bust after year one. They're like, oh, wow, he's awesome.
Exactly.
And then what do you know? He's actually good. Yeah, it's just
people there you go.
You could tell people over and over again that like, yeah, it's really hard for offensive line to do well as a rookie, even really good ones. And you know, when you get drafted that high, it's just it's fans are going to be upset no matter what. But yeah,
and because I would always tell people this, you know, because people always say the speed of the game is different, right? When you go from this level to that level, this level to that level, which is 1,000% true. Now imagine the speed of the game increasing, but the person that you're lined up against, the person that you have to read, is only lined up a couple inches away from you every single play. So it speeds up even that much exponentially faster, right? So it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. And I think overall, Bergeron's still doing a good job.
Yeah. He's not a liability. He's been pretty average, and that's fine because we all know what his ceiling is, and it's really high. And I think he's just scratching the surface. And that's really the whole theme of today's episode, trying to take this in a more the post game we vented a lot of the anger about that game, and there was a lot of anger to vent. But today I think it's more about that this team is scratching the surface of something that can be really good. I think, and it started to come together more and more every week on offense. It just hasn't ever, like, I think the Texans game was the one week you could say like, yeah, this thing actually came together on both sides, and the offense actually, you know, played a good game. But even then, it wasn't Ritter's turnovers. It was other players' turnovers that kept that down. So, like, even that game wasn't perfect. So, like, this team has still not played a complete game. But they're 4-3. They're 2-0 in the NFC South. And they have a head-to-head win over the likely team that they're going to be competing for the division against in Tampa Bay, with a chance to sweep them with a home game now, which is absolutely critical. Like, you've won the road game. You've won the tough game. Now you just got to win at home to complete the sweep and get that head-to-head tiebreaker. And, you know, the Saints are not playing well either. The Panthers are out of it. The Panthers are done. They're no longer in contention.
Yeah.
They're done. And you've got, you know, a head-to-head. So you're just in really good position now with a stretch of games coming up that you should expect to win 2 of the next 3. And you're hoping to win 3 of the next 3. And I think that should be what you're expecting, but 2-1 is probably the most realistic outcome. But if you manage to do that, then you go into your bye week at, you know, 6-4 if you're 2-1, and you're feeling pretty good about that at this point for this team. You know,
I mean,
just win
it's crazy.
A couple more. Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, and it's wild because remember I said last week, go 3-1, right before you go to the bye week, which obviously that means we go 2-1 for this next 3-game stretch. Well, the one game that I thought was really going to be the toss-up, you won it. Let's might as well just go 4-0 because again, Tennessee, you're going to have either a quarterback that's really hadn't played at all in Levis, or you're going to have Malik Willis, and we've seen he hasn't really performed that well just yet, right, on in the NFL stage. And then the Vikings, well, we'll see more about the Vikings and who they are, what they can be without Justin Jefferson tonight. And so they go against another good defense with San Francisco. And they're also missing a couple of O-line pieces. I'm not sure if they're going to be back before we have to play them the week after. And then, of course, Arizona, which, look, don't sleep on Arizona. I know their record right now is 1-6, but they are a pretty tough team. I watched them out here when they played against San Francisco. That's a tough team, you know. But
they're not a pushover. They're not
exactly. But at the end of the day, I would say that you can very much so go 4-0 in this stretch. So if we all of a sudden look and we see we're 7-3 going into the bye week, that matchup with New Orleans coming out of that, you're in a very good spot to make some things happen.
Yeah. So we got a lot of football left, but being 4-3 at this point, it gives you the flexibility to be like, we are just scratching the surface, because it hasn't gone perfectly, but we've scraped out 4 tough wins. And in spite of it, basically, like we haven't played our best football yet. And we're still having a winning record in first place in our division. So everything now is if we can just get a little bit better every single week, then this team could be cruising in a few weeks. Like, it's frustrating as hell to watch, but that's sort of where they are. But the one part of the team that, again, is sort of beyond reproach, the defense. Like, it's better than our wildest. It's better than our wildest dreams. Like, we're halfway through the season essentially, and this team is. Let me pull up the exact numbers. This team is 9th in scoring, which obviously is the most important. 4th in total yardage allowed. They are 7th in yards per play allowed. They are 7th in passing yards allowed. They are 9th in net yards per attempt allowed, and now they have even improved to be 8th in rushing yards allowed.
I'm sorry, I just started crying because you read off those numbers. This is so beautiful.
Exactly. So beautiful. And I mean, they are a legit top 10 defense, and the number that I like the best is the third down defense. The Falcons are 3rd in the NFL on third down, allowing just a 33.7% conversion rate. And they are 5th in the red zone, allowing just a 38.9% conversion. Those are the two numbers that tell you a lot about a defense, regardless of anything else. And the one more I'll reference real quick, because this is a lot of times the number that tells you that can be a caution sign. It doesn't necessarily mean the defense is bad, but it could be a caution sign. Is how many turnovers are you generating? If you're leading the league in turnovers, it's like, okay, are we really this good? Or is this the Falcons are 25th? The Falcons are 25th in turnovers. So it's not that. They're not. It's actually like we should expect them to get more turnovers and be even better. So I think at this point it's clearly not a fluke, Jordan. I think the guys up front have a lot to do with that.
Oh, I mean, 1,000%. And look, here's the thing. Usually you can tell how good a team is in the situational metrics. So like you mentioned, what do you do at the end of both halves, right? How much do you give up? What do you do in third down? What do you do in the red zone? I'm saying this both offensively and defensively. And so the fact that you mentioned out those numbers shows you how good this defense is. And like you said, it starts up front because, I mean, again, even if you want to look at the third down efficiency, there's 2 things I've seen that really pop up and take for the Falcons this year on defense. One, they get teams behind schedule early because if you run, you're going to get maybe a -2, -1 yard gain at best. So you're already behind schedule on offense. But also, if you do stay on schedule and get to a 3rd and 1, this defense really bows up, and you're not getting it in that obvious run situation. I mean, we can go back to week 1, fourth down stop against Carolina, which I said again for short yardage goal line technique, it was teach tape, right? So those are 2 things that I've really seen that keep popping up, and I mean also just the effort. There was one play, I saw it on the tape already. Bud Dupree, the Bucs were running a zone play to the right. Now, usually if you run zone, you do not block the backside in because it's, hey, you're too far away from this play. You're not going to get there. We're not worried about you. But because the front side, with I think Onyemata was over there, I believe it was Calais over there. Why you run to that side, I don't know. But they do. They're double teaming Grady. So first off, the running back, I believe it was White for Tampa, already didn't have anywhere to go, so he's slowing down. So guess who makes the tackle for losses? Bud Dupree. So give him credit for hustling down the play. But at the same time, it was, again, every person's responsibility on that front did their job, and that's how he makes that play happen. And you keep seeing it over and over and over, and now you're starting to see it even more with some of those depth guys, right? I mean, LaCale London, I thought, had some bright moments in this game. I thought that Taquan Graham had some moments. I see Zach Harrison starting to have some sack opportunities. And that is something that's really dangerous for offenses because all of a sudden we can keep those starters fresh as possible towards the end of a game. And, of course, long picture in the end of a season. Oh, my goodness. Look out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. Like, LaCale London ends up playing 32 snaps. So I think this is the last week he's on the practice squad. I think he's getting signed this week.
Yeah.
And it's that he brings up a good point and I don't want to get too off on a tangent on it, but they've been like shuffling, looking for this guy. Like they didn't end up keeping Timmy Horn on the active roster, which I think surprised a lot of people, myself included. They didn't really keep a true nose. Instead, they've been sort of cycling through some of their practice squad guys, trying to see what they have there. They've pulled in, they had Timmy Horn for a few weeks. They tried Taquan Graham there a little bit. They had signed Eli Anku and had him play some there. They've tried Albert Huggins as well.
Yep.
Like they've been rotating through all these guys, and none of them really was showing it. I mean, Timmy Horn had some flashes. All these guys have had some flashes here and there, but LaKale London, now 2 games of him have looked the best so far of any of those guys. And I think this game, giving him 32 snaps, I think was sort of like, okay, I think we're starting to see that they have trust in him to be that guy. On the inside, I mean, outsnapped Taquan Graham, outsnapped Zach Harrison. Like they seem like, okay, this is the guy we want. Now we've found our guy. And I like that. It's like, you don't have to be complacent with your bottom of the roster guys. Like, give your other players opportunities. Let's see what we've got here. And that's how, I think, how they've found guys like LaKale London, like giving him a chance, seeing what he's got, and he's clearly, I think, earned his way onto the roster at this point. So props to him. But again, David Onyemata steals the show once again. I feel like this man has a 90 PFF grade like every single week at this point.
No, absolutely. And again, it's to your point, who you're talking about, the bottom part of the roster. I always believe that how good the bottom of your roster is, as the quote unquote worst player in a group is going to give you a better idea of how good that unit is versus your best player, right? I mean, again, even if we want to look at offense, no matter who you want to say it is, whether you want to say it's Desmond Ridder, you want to say it's Drew Dalton, like whomever the case may be, whatever how that player plays is going to tell you how good that unit plays, right? Like I said, if it's Ridder goes out and plays like he did against Houston, you think that offense is going to do pretty well. If he doesn't have 2 of those fumbles, again, you put up 30 points probably in this game. And so, yeah, in moments where, look, especially in the interior defensive line, you're not going to play all 60, 70, however many snaps it is. That's just not going to happen. So if you can bring a guy in, and I know this week it was 32 snaps. You bring a guy in and he can spell some of those frontline guys, and you don't have to worry about, hey, if they have this big play, it is because you did not do your job. That tells you how good a group is. And now the fact that, like you said, they might be able to solidify those backup D-line spots because of what LaKale London's been doing the last 2 weeks. That just shows you, once again, that's how good this defense is.
Yeah, and you mentioned Taquan Graham too. I think he deserves some props in this one. He had a stop as well. LaKale London had 2 stops.
And a fumble recovery.
And the guys that did get sacks in this game, I do want to give props, because Baker Mayfield coming into this game had been sacked only 5 times. He was the least sacked quarterback in the NFL. The Bucs he's obviously, I think people don't understand, like, he's just very like slippery. Not known as like a running quarterback, but he does run the ball well when he needs to. And he's just slippery. That's always been who he's been going back to college. He just ducks and dives around stuff. So like you see Zach Harrison get absolutely embarrassed by him, and that's frustrating, but that's what he does. Like that's his thing. But the Falcons managed to still notch 3 sacks on him, which is really impressive. Obviously saw Calais get another one. That's always great to see. And we saw, I think we've seen Lorenzo Carter getting more snaps and playing well when he's been called on. And obviously David Onyemata, just awesome, getting a sack there too. But, we'd be remiss again if we didn't continue talking about Nate Landman, who, I mean, he's the best linebacker on the team. And that's not slander on Caden Ellis either. That's just like, it's pretty incredible.
No, absolutely. And I think the thing for me, and again, part of me almost hates saying this, but it is part of reality. When you can't be taken off the field, your confidence and how you play, it does go up a certain level, right? Like, he's out there as much as he is. He was going to play regardless if Troy Anderson was hurt or not, but he's out there as much because Troy was hurt. So I can play freely, whether I mess up, don't mess up, make this perfect play, miss this tackle, whatever. I got to be out here so I can just let loose and go. Yeah. And I think that's when you look at it, that's how he's playing. Again, he had the forced fumble, perfect punch on the ball. Again, I would say to Tompkins for Tampa Bay, dog, you 155. Don't go back into the middle. Just don't do it. That's
go down.
You don't want to go there. You don't want those problems.
Nope.
But no, it was a perfect punch. Again, you saw him in coverage. Yes, it was a little tug. I'm
He's a linebacker. What do you want? Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But you make that tackle in open space on Chris Godwin to force a 3rd and long instead of maybe he gets the first down. You don't make that play. He's just doing things consistently every single week. That is awesome to see. And again, it looks more like his Colorado self. And I know, like Kevin, you and I, we've talked about that a few weeks in a row. So I do highly encourage anybody, if you have time, you have access to YouTube, just look up Nate Landman, Colorado, and you'll see what we've been saying. I also want to give credit to the secondary for some of these sacks, because these aren't a lot of these sacks the Falcons have got. They weren't you had your initial move, you beat the guy up front, so boom, you had a sack like that. No, a lot of these were Baker had to hold the ball because of what we were doing on the back end, and so since he did, that's where some of those sacks came from. Now, that being said, I would also implore the secondary and Zach Harrison, you too, because like you said, you talked about the one play where Baker got him. Slow down just a little bit when you get around the quarterback, so you can move just a little bit more and make the play. Because I think we saw, was it Richie? I think missed one. Jesse Bates missed one.
Yep.
And then also Zach Harrison. So again, you think about that. We had 3 sacks on a guy that's been sacked 5 times all year, and it could have been 6.
Yeah.
Like that's this how good this defense was performing. And again, how I talk about it, I know it sounds nitpicky, but again, how close they are from putting up even better performances on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, exactly. And we just some breaking news. We're recording this on Monday. Kevin Byard just traded to the Eagles from the Titans. So speaking of that game,
how does Howie Roseman keep getting away with this?
You can't keep letting him get away with this.
No, I'm like seriously, I
need to know what the compensation is, because I would have been calling about him if I was the Falcons.
But gosh,
just because he's so good, like I don't even care. Like, are we paying? Would we be paying 2 safeties big money? I don't care. Kevin Byard's good. He's perfect next to Jesse Bates. But no, my dreams are dead. So
shoot, look at. I mean, I'll say this: if they're going to start fire sailing, I mean,
Jeffrey Simmons,
hello.
I don't think they'll get rid of Simmons. Simmons is too young, but Autry, I would take Autry in a heartbeat. I would take D'Amico Autry off your hands. Yeah,
and it never hurts to ask.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're just having a conversation.
Right? Exactly.
And there's the relationship, right? I mean, I'm just saying.
Arthur, right?
Arthur, give him a
call.
Yeah. What's up, guys? How we doing? Yeah.
Never hurts to ask.
Yeah, it does not. So, but yeah, on the topic of Landman, it's like, I'm just so happy for him that he looks like his Colorado self. Like we've talked about it so many times. It's just like, he was on this trajectory to be like a top prospect. Devastating injury, goes undrafted. Falcons keep him around for multiple years while he's still recovering. He's on the practice squad. He's on the roster a little bit this year. He ends up being the 3rd linebacker, and people are kind of like shocked by it. I think like, oh wow, they got rid of Michael Walker for Nate Landman. Who the hell is this guy? And it's like, well, it's all, and I think we've known, it's like, well, if he's healthy, like I understand why they're making this decision, because instinctually and like processing, Nate Landman is very advanced. He was like a 5th-year senior, so like, yeah, I'm not surprised that they would have faith, but it's just, he looks like he's getting back to his athletic ability too, which was another part of his game that was special. And this is a great scheme fit for him too. Like he can just be back there in the middle and crush it. So,
he's playing against a D-line group that for the most part, they're going to keep offensive linemen off of him.
Yeah. Which is perfect.
Again, his stats might be down, but the way Grady Jarrett's playing selfless, by the way, taking up double teams to let other people roam free. I mean, as a linebacker, what else would you want, or what else would you want to, play behind? But again, like I said, he just knows this is his chance, so might as well just let it rip, let it go. And you see that all the time in sports, right? I mean, was the Chicago quarterback Tyson Bagent? Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of a sudden it's like, all right, here you go. You got to make things happen. And, they get a 30-12 win, snapped, I think, a 10-game home losing streak for Chicago. Even down in college, you had Heisman candidate, college football playoff candidate, USC, and Caleb Williams going against Utah. And if you look at the injury list for the Utes, it's incredible, right? And I'm talking like NFL good guys, right? And so, of course, Cameron Rising's been out all year. They started this quarterback who was a walk-on, I think, from a 1A school in Utah, who was I think they said like a pig farmer.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? And the running back, because of the injuries there, he's actually a safety.
Mm-hmm.
And they go down and they beat USC. But it's well, I'm here. Here's my opportunity. Might as well just
it's house money.
Like, let it
it's
loose.
House money.
There you
Let's
go. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's always awesome to see people take advantage of those opportunities and just, like I said, play freely, because usually if you're someone in that situation, you can't help but feel like you're looking over your shoulder. Like, I better play this perfectly, because if I don't, this might be my one rep of the game. But Nate doesn't have to do that. So it's good to see him take advantage of that.
Yeah. And so I'm happy to see that. We're obviously happy to see that. And, the whole team is just kind of coming together. The whole defense is playing well as a unit. And that's the great thing, is that they're not overly reliant on one part or another. They seem to complement each other well, and they're really well coached. I mean, you can see it every single week in the second half. They just lock down the opponent. Like, maybe they've gotten had in the first half a couple of times where they've given up some points, but the second half they're on it. It's like, okay, we've seen your offense now. Yeah, good luck. You might get one more score, but that's it.
No, I agree with you. I was going to say the most fun part for me to watch this defense, they love playing together.
Yeah.
It's just obvious. I think that, again, I'll go back to week 1, Carolina 4th down stop. Look at how everybody was celebrating. Look at how Ryan Nielsen was going crazy. I believe they even highlighted that. I think we had a big stop maybe 2 weeks ago. Maybe it was a Houston game. And the commentators were talking about, like, look at them just jumping up and down and going crazy, right? Now, of course, partially because of age reasons, kind of hard to have that with Dean Pease, right? Like, you might not be able to have as much energy and going crazy with him there. And that's not a knock at Dean Pease at all. It's just, hey, Father Time gets the best of all of us. But you can just tell how contagious the attitude and energy is with this defense. You got to credit all the leaders for it. Credit Ryan Nielsen. You have to credit Grady Jarrett. Credit Calais Campbell, Jesse Bates. List goes on and on and on. But it pops off on the screen to me how contagious it is and how fun it is and how much everyone's happy for everyone's success on that defense. It goes a long way in terms of being a good unit.
It does, and people like always underestimate the like the intangible stuff. Like, how much fun are you having? If you're having fun, you just play better. Like, people want to make it like, oh, it's a business. Why are you having so much fun? Like, it's a game. Like, like, if you're playing well, you should be having fun. Like, not only should that be allowed, it should be encouraged. And the best teams are the ones that are having fun. Like, these guys love this game. We love this game. Like, you should enjoy it. Like. And I'm glad that they're able to do that. It's been a long time since we've seen a Falcons defense actually enjoy being on the field.
You remember how, like, it was Grady Jarrett's quote, like, mid last year, same bleep, just another year, right? Like, you could tell the frustration was there. I don't see that from him. No. I see him laughing and smiling more in press conferences. Like, it's a different energy, and it's palpable. It's just so obvious. So it's just really cool to see. And I mean, I think even to an extent, I know there have been some frustrations and turnovers, but even when the offense goes well, you see it there too.
Yeah.
Right. Like it like overall as a team, if there's one thing that I think Arthur Smith and just the coaching staff in general doesn't get enough credit for, it is establishing a culture where you can see everybody wants to play with each other and they want to see each other succeed and they have fun doing it. I think that's something that, me included, people haven't given this coaching staff enough credit for.
Yeah, I mean, and the culture and the ability to bounce back from the difficulties, that's critical, because you could easily see a scenario, like a situation where you spiral after week 4 with this team.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 bad games in a row from Desmond Ridder. The team turns on him. The coaching staff starts to turn on him, get more and more critical and harsh, and his confidence is shattered, and it's a spiral, and we get Heineke in here, and maybe that helps, maybe it doesn't, but the team just goes down in flames. And it didn't happen. Like, there could still be a disaster. Like, who knows? But it's, that didn't happen. They fought through it. And like, as much frustration as we saw, it hasn't been so much that it's affected the team. And, and it's interesting to finally see, like, it's actually the defense that's now like the leader of this team. And I even when the defense was good in 2017, that wasn't the case. Like, it was the offense still. And it's just a new experience to see, like, okay, it's the defense. That's where the veteran leadership is. That's where this team has all of that's the engine. Like, the defense is the engine. And it's nice to see. And it's like, it's even more impressive, speaking about the turnovers and how the Falcons defense, they haven't generated a ton of turnovers. They're 25th in turnovers, and they're still this good. Well, look at it the other way. They're dealing with an offense that's turned the ball over as much as anyone else in the NFL, and they're still this good. Like, they're being put in awful situations, having to play all these extra downs, and they're still this good. So I think it's like, you look at all the stats, you look for all these warning signs that maybe it's not as good as the stats say. Maybe the stats are just only telling one part of the story. And I think it's pretty clear that it's not. Like, all the stats are telling us that actually the defense could be better. Like, it could be better. And it very well may be better, which is scary considering they're like 7th at this point, and they could be better. So.
And to your point, I always believe this. There are certain tendencies that you see a team play with that will tell you if those numbers are real, or, can they change? And if they do change, how are they going to change? So, for example, you talked about the turnovers for the defense, right? Causing turnovers. The tendencies are there. People punching at the ball, gang tackling. Because if you gang tackle, two things can happen, right? One guy wraps up. Next time you're punching at the ball, you're trying to rip it out. But also, you have people there to recover the fumble if the ball gets out, right? And I mean, on the back end too, how many times have we seen passes batted? Usually, if you bat passes in the air, there's a reason why. Everyone knows for defense, there's a phrase: tips and overthrows. Got to get those, right? Quarterback wants to throw a ball past someone's head. Usually, going to have somebody there, or whether it's the receiver does it, the D lineman does it, or the person in coverage does it. You tip that ball in the air, and again, people swarming to the ball. Someone's going to get there to get that interception. We're seeing the tip passes from the Falcons. We're seeing pursuit to the football. We're seeing multiple guys get there. We're seeing people punch at the ball. So they're doing the tendencies that you want to see that would, in your mind, equate to you're going to force some more turnovers. And then, of course, also you're seeing more pressure on the quarterback, which will lead to some more errant throws. So, I do think, to your point, because they are doing that and that's showing up on tape, that will lead to more turnovers in the future.
Yeah, and that just means the defense will be even more dangerous. So, and hopefully set the offense up with some good field position and help them out, because they still need the help quite a bit. So,
because they didn't get it from special teams, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, as much respect as I have for UCF legend Mike Hughes, it's time to see somebody else back there. So, I don't know who at this point. Does Van Jefferson return punts? I don't know. Maybe he does.
It was just so funny because I was, when we're on, I tweeted this or posted this the drive before it happened, because I think, we had a punt return, wasn't very far, and I was like, all right, when are we going to make a change? And one of my friends said, yeah, who's going to be? And so I tweeted out this or I posted out this song lyric. Right. And if you're from Atlanta, you know about D4L, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, I'm starting to see spaceships on Bankhead. The reason why I said that, because there's a song by D4L called Scotty. So that was like my hint of, might as well put him back there since we don't use him. Of course, like next play, we throw a 48-yard bomb to him. Like, okay, you know what? I'll shut up about him now. But yeah, it's just, because again, there is, whether he does return it, there isn't much there. Or there have been certain decisions that have costed the Falcons both time and also yards on, do you fair catch here? Do you let the ball go? And so if we're talking about field position with an offense, those are two things that are very, very important. So that there might have to be able to look at a change in that.
Yeah, I agree. And that the bad field position is not helping the offense either. So I think at a certain point, you do have to figure something out there. I don't know who you go to. Scotty Miller doesn't exactly have a star-studded, resume there in terms of his ability to return punts, but he has returned kicks. Van Jefferson has 1 kick return in his NFL career at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, not a lot of proven stuff there. Maybe you go see if you can find somebody. Maybe you see if one of these guys on the practice squad has some kick return, a bit like punt return ability, but it's just not great. You're not really getting anything there. But I also understand that they're probably not wanting to go out and spend any resources to get somebody anything significant, because you got Avery Williams. So it's like this isn't going to be a long-term thing. This is going to be, we got to get through this year, and then Avery's coming back. But maybe like when they draft another wide receiver, because they're probably going to draft another wide receiver this year. Maybe that wide receiver could have some punt return ability. Like that would just to have another guy with that upside would be good. Maybe.
I wonder what Devin Hester's 40 time is around these days.
Hey, Devin, what's up?
Right,
we're getting the band back together. Yeah.
Right.
I could think of worse. I could think of worse ideas. So we'll see.
How funny would it be to see Cordero take a kickback and then Devin Hester take a punt back in 2023 for the same team?
Both of them go line up in the end zone for kickoff returns. Devin Hester, Cordell Patterson together. Just for that picture, that would be beautiful.
Right.
Just for that. Man. Well, Jordan, it's been great as always. Nice to get to talk about a win, even though it was hella ugly. Guys, today's show is, of course, brought to you by BetOnline. Jordan, he's that Big 75 fella. I keep forgetting the name of your show. I feel... So please tell the people your show and where they can find it, because I should know by now, because you've only said it we've only been doing this for 7 weeks now. So
No worries. It's called the Falcon Fade Podcast. And again, so Clint Goss and I, we are actually in the Atlanta area with a show 3 to 4 Eastern on Mondays. So it just ended right now. So it's on 99.1 if you're in that area. And then we also do a preview show that gets out Saturday morning. So wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to both of those as well. It doesn't have to just be on the radio. It's a good time. Of course, we recap the game that happened. We recorded on Sundays. It goes out on the air on Mondays. And then we have a show that goes on Saturdays. Again, just some more fun Falcons content for y'all to check out. Clint does an awesome job. I try to put in any little wisdom I can here or there too. So yeah, feel free to check it out.
Yeah, guys, definitely check it out, because I know you guys, if you're watching 4 episodes of this every week, then, not putting us down or anything, but, you probably also are looking for more Falcons content because you're ravenous for it. So definitely check out the Falcons Fade podcast as well, guys. I'm Kevin Knight at Falcoholic. Kevin, make sure to check out the site, thefalcoholic.com, as well, for all that great written content. Like and subscribe if you're watching us here on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, please leave us that 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. You can check us out and support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Falcoholic Live. Also, check out the community Discord server. Link to that is in the show description. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Dirty Birds and Brews podcast. We'll be back on Wednesday night for Falcoholic Live at 8 p.m. Eastern. Talk about this game tomorrow. We'll be joined by Joe Patrick of 92.9 for that one. And the game preview on Thursday, talking about this Titans game, I'll be joined by Justin Mello over from Draft Network, rising NFL insider, and, of course, a big Titans fan as well. So we'll be talking with him. So we got some good stuff lined up for you this week, and hopefully in preparation for another big dub. Get 2 games above 500 again. Let's do it. So, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time here on Dirty Birds and Brews podcast. Have a great day, folks.